everyone. You're listening to another episode of Lifelong Learner with your host, Janesh, and special guest, Jason Robinson. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to another episode of Lifelong Learner. So today I have a special guest, Jason Robinson. Mate, welcome to the show.
Mate, thank you for having me. We're just saying it's been too long. Great to see your face and excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome, mate. So I think it was probably maybe even a year ago, we caught up for lunch. I was going to say, it's been a while.
Yeah, time flies. It's definitely, it feels like it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, but really a year has just gone boom. And it's, just staring down in accounting land, just staring down the barrel of another end of financial year. You know, it's May 2023. Today is actually the lodgement deadline for tax returns from 2022 to be done. So it's been carnage. And here we are, another year gone. Blink and you miss it.
Yeah. So, mate, so now this month is kind of go time for you guys, isn't it?
100%. So May, June, mostly May. May's the big one. You've got, March BASs, you've got FBTs, you've got 2022 or the year before tax returns, in accounting land we're talking about. And May is the monster. A lot of people are like, they think it's July, August, September, which is when individuals want to lodge their tax and get their refund from the government, which is also a busy time, and especially for a lot of those more individual tax return accounting firms. Mm-hmm. But for ones that focus primarily on business owners or have a big business, accounts, this May is absolutely just wild. It's carnage. And back in the day, when it used to be acceptable to force your team to work until 9, 10 p.m. midnight, back when I was a boy, that there'd be, and look, there's probably still accounting firms around major capital cities right now where there'll be people working until midnight tonight trying to cram deadlines. Doesn't happen at our firm, but times are changing, but bloody unreal. It's good to be busy, but it's also, you got to control that too. And definitely wouldn't have it any other way though.
Yeah, awesome, mate. So I'm going to read your rap sheet out, and I'm going to ask you to fill in some blanks for us here. So, mate, you're a co-founder of a boutique accounting advisory firm called Future Advisory, and you guys been kicking goals. How long have you been in operation for as Future?
As Future, 2.5 years. We'll be 3 years old in September. So just toddler at the moment, just stumbling around doing stupid shit. It's great.
Having said that, Jason's version of stupid shit is winning Accounting Firm of the Year at the Xero Awards. So Future Advisory won Accounting Firm of the Year last year. And also, mate, you're a co-host of an amazing podcast, The Numbers Game, which is awesome. And I will put some notes in the show notes there on links on how to go listen to The Numbers Game. And you guys have some a good dynamic there with the three of you, kind of chatting, bit of banter, and some valuable advice that for punters that have no idea, or even ones that go, I want to dive into this little topic a little bit. How did that come about?
That's a good question, mate. And thank you for the rap sheet and a bit of the bio. The Numbers Game actually just fell out of Nick Riley and I. So Nick Riley runs a firm called Innovate. He got me into the Cub Club, which I think is where we ended up spending a bit of time together as well, of course. And Nick and I, we talk a lot. We cross-refer a lot of work. We specialize in accounting and we do accounting damn well. And when we built the first version of our firm and then this firm, we always wanted to make sure we focused on our core, which was accounting and doing good things and helping people have a better life. But we needed a good partner in financial planning and mortgage broking. And that's where Nick Riley came along. So it's we've got a lot of synergies, nice and easy. And we end up having a lot of our clients that went, geez, it's great working with you guys. You just make it really easy to understand. But a lot of the times we'd get new clients come along and they'd go, geez, I wish my last accountant or I wish my financial advisor explained it how you guys did. Mm-hmm. And the more Nick and I kind of got talking, it became clear that, not that we're rare or unique or anything, but that we had a way of just talking and making things seem understandable and in a calm way that clients or potential, customers or anyone out in the public could just go, oh yeah, I get that. Oh, I wish somebody explained that to me like that years ago. And I'd always wanted a podcast. I saw people start doing it from an early day. We had a client who was a podcast, guy called Tommy and Josh. They had the Daily Talk Show. They did 1,000 episodes of a podcast over a couple of years. And through working with them, I went, shit, a podcast is awesome. I got on their show, got the bug for it. And I approached Nick and said, mate, what if there's only so many people we can help day to day. But what if we could put content out there for people who maybe thought they couldn't afford an accountant or a financial planner or didn't know that they should go to a mortgage broker? And what if we just put out content where they can listen to it in their own time, and eventually they'll either have the confidence or feel like, yep, they're ready to go, or just value for people out there to be able to learn and understand things. And for Nick, Marty, and I, that would give us a bit of a sense of giving back. So it started off like that. Tommy from the Daily Talk Show, who now is the producer of the Numbers Game, keeps us accountable. And I think, like you guys, you've smashed out quite a few eps, which is awesome too. The consistency and the accountability and just rocking up and showing up and getting those eps done. So if you drop an ep every Monday and you stop doing it and it falls away and falls out of your habits or routines, people, the stats around number of podcasts that start and then get to like episode 10 and then don't survive or don't go on to do anything. So I think today, actually this morning, we recorded episode 106, 107, 108, 109. So we try and do batches of 4. This morning's ones were good. They were punchy. We've just had a season break. So I think we always come back from a season break energized and like fresh with like all this shit that happened for a couple of weeks. And sometimes we just go on an absolute tangent. But yeah, mate, I think as well, maybe we got 50 eps in and we never ever felt like giving up, never felt like walking away, but it felt like for so much content we'd put out there, some Instagram posts, some LinkedIn, got to a point where it was like, surely we should be getting a bit more traction. Like, surely, people should be reaching out to us and talk to us. Then all of a sudden it just like it flicked a switch and, we had people reaching out, wanting to work with us. We had people commenting and sending us messages and emails. And now it's like, and it's not that you need the validation, but we just need to know that somebody out there was, getting the advice and getting help from it and actually, taking it on board. So it's been awesome. It's, and look, this is just the beginning, we're hoping just to keep on going and we'll see where it takes us. But yeah, it's been the Numbers Game podcast for us. Yeah, definitely a way of sharing just so much stuff that happens day to day in our lives, especially dealing with business owners as an accountant. And then those guys with financial planning or mortgage broking, there's so many case studies we get from real life to go, imagine we can stop somebody else from making that mistake, or imagine we can share that bit of info and help X amount of people to get ahead in life. So yeah, got a pretty good purpose, and we feel like that adds a bit of meaning to our lives as well in what we can do day to day.
Yeah, and also it's fun, isn't it? It's fun.
Yeah,
go and have a bit of banter, have a bit of a chat, and it's it is lots of fun.
No, we're having a blast, and definitely a lot of fun. I think we always finish the 2 hours or so of recording, and my cheeks are sore. We've been smiling and laughing for a couple of hours. We're usually ripping shit on Marty for being old, or he's getting stuck into Nick and I, and Nick's the good looking one, so then I get picked on for wanting to be as good looking as Nick. So yeah, it's out of control. But yeah, we have a blast. It's good fun.
That's awesome, mate. And so future, then you guys have doubled in people size. Is that correct? You've 14 to 30. Have I got my numbers right there?
Yeah. So we started, might have been 12 to 14 when we formed the new Future firm. We came out of another firm and split off and did our new rebrand and did our thing, and started off, somewhere between 12 and 14, and then grew to 31 kind of post-COVID. So 1.5 years after inception, we'd more than doubled our headcount. And then now we've kind of been able to add some efficiencies, add some tech, and then retract slightly. So I think we're sitting at 27 or 28 today. And mate, I think, would I do it again as fast and add as many heads at the speed we did? Probably not. But people who've asked why we grew so fast, or what was it that happened? It came down to, it was all during COVID. So September 2020 was when we started. Mm-hmm. And as you can imagine, I think that was, lockdown 2, lockdown 3. We were definitely locked down because I remember all of our meetings to set up were done remote. And what ended up happening through that time was so many small business owners were reaching out to their accountant and trying to get help, but their accountant wasn't replying to emails, wasn't answering phones. They were dealing with their own challenges that all of a sudden, instead of going to an office and having physical papers and files and maybe software systems that weren't cloud, they weren't able to service their customers. Whereas we were born in the cloud, we didn't have paper or pens. We worked remotely, like this I'm in Port Douglas at the moment, working with my team. I've been on calls all day, and I did a tax planning meeting with a client who was sitting in the office in Melbourne thinking I was going to be there, but my face was on the screen. He laughed his head off. He was like, this is brilliant. But during that time when other small business owners couldn't get help from their accountants, I wanted to be one of the available accounting firms that stood up and said, we will help you. If you've got a need and your business needs to get through this, if you need some cash flow boost, some job keeper, some government stimulus, or just, somebody to hold your hand and say it's going to be okay, jump on board with Future Advisory. And that explosion of word of mouth referrals for businesses that were telling their mates, going, well, Future Advisories, they're firing, they're ready to take you on. So the more kind of people we could add in and the more capacity we could create, we saw it as doing our bit to help the small business community during what was a really, really shit time. And then, got to the other side of it. And I was going to say, got to the other side of it. And then it was just that, like, growing at that kind of speed when you've got a really tight culture, that 12 to 14 that started with us, they'd been with us for years. They were our family. It was tight. And then when you add, a head a month or a head every couple of weeks, and, you can dilute culture if you're not careful. So we had our challenges, and, we're still to this day, like, learning and educating and getting people brought up to speed on systems and processes and how we work and why we do things a certain way, because we can be a little bit different. But it's still good though. We bloody absolutely love it, and happy clients and happy times, and driven and have a good purpose. So makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, awesome. Mate, when you did scale that fast, bringing people on, and I work with a lot of people in terms of that culture space, what did you do to maintain that tight-knit community of your team, the fast respond rate, right? So listeners, Jason and his firm have a super quick response rate. If you need an answer, you'll have it before you click send, pretty much. And also you got the certainty of going, hey, I'm going to find that out for you, and your clients don't need to chase up, right? So that, and the leaning on each other in terms of you're competitive, but not competitive at the cost of others. How did you have all those things in check, so to speak, when growing at a pace you did? What did you do? What did you learn along the way?
Yeah, look, I think the very, very most simple thing you can have at the start is a good vision and a good mission. Like, so for us, bringing it down into the one most simple sentence was that we existed to help people have a better life. And then using the word future, because it's in our title, Future Advisory, we brought it back to, we exist to help people have a better future. So a lot of our conversations with our onboarding new team members was, if you're coming in here with the right thing at your heart and at your core is that you're coming in here because you want to help people, then you're in the right place. So starting off with that simple, value proposition of, this is why we exist and we help people have a better future. So that's kind of step one, and knowing that you're hiring the right people. If they go, that's why I want to work. They didn't come in with the first question going, how much are you going to pay me? No. It's like, what do we do? Who do we help? Oh yeah, I can help those people. Cool. We're on the right page. Following the vision and the mission is always values. So making sure our values were aligned is really important. So, whether that's communication, relationships, and having fun. I mean, I think given the way we dress, the way we talk, the informal way that we behave at work, if you're a super professional person and you were looking for a super professional accounting firm, you wouldn't land on Future Advisory's website and choose us. And that's fine. And not everyone's meant to work with everyone. And that was part of the deliberate nature of who we were and what we were building and becoming, meant that also the team members we were hiring needed to understand that they weren't going to rock up to work wearing a suit and tie. But if that was who they wanted to be, we weren't the right firm for them. So our branding, our marketing, our vision, and our values made it very clear who should want to come and apply for a job with us and who should work with us. And then on the other side of that, once they do start working, the way to kind of keep reinforcing that was regular internal team bonding meetings. So obviously at the early stages, we're in COVID. So what we'd do is we'd have an internal huddle, and we tried to do that every fortnight, and everyone would jump on a call. And most of the questions in this call would go round one by one and have a couple of minutes to hold the floor each. Most of the time, it wasn't about answering questions about work. It was, what made you smile this week? What's a challenge that someone can help you with? How are you feeling this week? And most of it was just an opportunity to get to know each other at a deeper level, talking about, somebody might turn around and say, I got a new puppy and my puppy made me smile, and shared a photo of their puppy to the whole team. And the following week, if you ended up on a call with whoever got the puppy, Jess, and said, hey, Jess, how's your puppy going? And it gave you something you could connect with that person with. Or Greg's on a 970-day running streak and he's training for a marathon and he shares something about that in the huddle. Next time you end up on a one-on-one with Greg, hey, Greg, how's your training going? What time do you reckon you'll run on the marathon? So it gave all of the team members things that they could connect with each other over that wasn't, did you get the BAS done? Have you lodged a tax return? So building that kind of connection as a team as well, especially when you keep adding new people in, you've got to give them an ability to feel comfortable and an ability to connect with the colleagues around them. So yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of other things I could go on with, but I mean, breaking it down into that really simple, the more fundamentals, giving them a clear reason why our firm exists and how they fit in, making sure their values aligned, and then creating an opportunity for culture to thrive, whether that's in the office or in an online environment.
Yeah, awesome. Mate, you deal with not only a lot of business, but a lot of individuals on a day-to-day basis, and your bread and butter is dealing with their money, right? And in the last, I would say maybe 12 months, have been a hot topic with RBA increases and
11 rate rises in like 13 months, or no, not even, maybe less. But yeah, a lot of rate rises.
So I'm curious to hear, and you've probably been asked similar questions, but this on how have you seen a switch in people's psychology to spending? Are you seeing people doubling down? Are you seeing people don't necessarily have the capital to double down and go, oh, I'm just going to tighten up here and there? What are you finding as a whole, kind of the sector of society that you see, how are they reacting and what's their mindset around it?
It's a great question and definitely something that I've been asked more than once. And unfortunately, I work with such a diverse group that it is such a mixed bag. So we look after about 700 different business groups, and about 2,000 individuals lodge their tax through us during tax time. So across our team, the different types of businesses we see, I almost talk about it like it's a two-speed economy at the moment. You've got businesses that are actually thriving and doing really well. They've used this last couple of years as an opportunity to bed down what they do and nail it and do it really well. And then you've got the ones that probably flew by, relying on a bit of government stimulus. They got JobKeeper, cash boost, their bank accounts were propped up, and they didn't focus on their numbers very well. And they've got to the other side of COVID. And in the last 12 months, that was probably the real first 12 months in the 2023 financial year where there wasn't a lot of government support. So you actually had to rely on your business numbers stacking up for itself. And some are getting to this point of the year where we're now doing our reflections and looking back during tax planning, and they're going, geez, actually, my business is not doing as well as I thought. It's all going to be able to have some money in the bank and see that slowly dwindle away. And in an inflationary environment, when all your costs are going up, if you didn't look at the price of your whatever you're selling in goods or services, and slowly but surely all of your costs have gone up, all of a sudden your margins are totally squeezed and business isn't performing how it used to. And if you haven't already reacted to that 6 to 12 months ago, you're now behind the 8 ball on all of your potential competitors who have adjusted their prices or adjusted their cost inputs. That's at more of a business level. Definitely seeing those two different kind of speed economy of really, really performing or starting to really struggle. And then individuals they're having to be smart with their money. And more often than not, we're now seeing people actually, I think there's a bit of a lag effect, as well, where I think for the first 6 months of rate rises, people were still going, 2%, we're sweet, then 2.5%, then 3%. Then all of a sudden, when you hit the 4s, people went, oh, shit, this isn't stopping. This isn't slowing down. This is going to keep on going. I need to figure out where I'm at. And we've had probably more referrals than ever hitting the mortgage broking space because people are going, I need to figure out, can I afford my current home loan? Can I afford my investment property if these interest rate rises keep going? So they're conversations that over the last couple of years just never happened, because when you're talking about 0, 1, 2% interest rates, people they're fine, they're flying. But yeah, and I think it's going to be a really interesting end to 2023. There's a lot of people throwing the big recession word around and saying, it's the recession we have to have. It's the repricing, recorrection, bring wages back to where they should be and costs and everything else. But yeah, look, if I was a betting man, I think it's possibly heading in that direction, but I don't want to be a bit of a doomsdayer. But yeah, lots of those conversations happening. And fundamentally and ultimately, what I end up talking to people about, and Nick, Marty, and I actually covered it and spoke a lot about it this morning. was getting back to basics and understanding the fundamentals and the core things in your business. So, when was the last time you looked at your profit and loss? When was the last time you read your balance sheet? And if I've said profit and loss and balance sheet, and you don't know where to find them or how to look at them live today, you already kind of got something you can go and focus on. So, and it's surprising, we've worked with a lot of business owners for a long time, and some of them are just on, your basic tax and compliance package. So we don't get to do a lot of hand holding and education and learning. And that's something we want to continue to improve. And I try to push as many people to the podcast as possible, but not everyone's a podcast person. But, anyone out there who goes, actually, I'm not super confident reading my profit and loss and balance sheet, the first thing I'd say from like a fundamentals or a 101 is just go do some training, look up something online, do a course. And if you can learn to read your P&L and balance sheet properly, you can then move forward into doing things like cash flow forecasts or doing financial modeling or creating a budget for your business. I mean, we're tax nerds and we're accountants, so I get excited by this stuff. But if you don't have targets for May and June, let's say, and the year comes to an end, how do you know if it was a successful May and June if you didn't know what you were capable of and what your targets were? So we often kind of try and tell business owners to knuckle down, go back to the drawing board, learn the P&L and balance sheet stuff. And if you can do a financial model or a budget and a forecast, that's a really good place to start to understand your business. And while you do that, we often see business owners will look at their costs all of a sudden and go, oh, I didn't realize my subscriptions had gone up so much. Last year it was $1,000 and this year it's $2,000. What am I paying for? And they click in and go, oh shit, I subscribe to Zoom and Audible and Netflix and Stan, and I don't use any of them anymore. And they cancel those 3 or 4 and they put $1,000 back in their pocket. Mm-hmm. But you can imagine that over a bigger scale and many people, there's a lot of money that we can put back into people's hands if they do some of the hard yards to understand their numbers.
Awesome. Awesome. Mate, going back to if you were a betting man, I got a question for you. So if I was definitely surprised, like say end of 21, like say just here in Australia mainly, end of 21, start 22, that there wasn't as many as I thought businesses for sale. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I thought, and don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people that did lose a lot and everything during COVID and had to shut up shop. But I was like, whoa, like I thought there would be more, right? And again, do you think they've just been propped up and that's coming now? Because I was talking with a friend that probably started last year, and he was in the market to buy businesses, had some capital. His business was going great. And I said, oh, how'd you go? He goes, there's not much for sale. And he goes, I don't know how they're not, because they didn't have business. They weren't big players. And he wanted to consolidate a couple of firms into his firm. He goes, and he went and offered them and they said, nope. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Do you think that's coming now and that's all like the facade's crumbling down and it's going to come start 2024, there's going to be a lot for sale? Or what do you think?
You know what? When it comes especially from small business or SME space, I think so many business owners create a job for themselves and they haven't actually thought succession or exit plan. So they're not actually in the headspace of building something for sale. And a lot of them haven't thought about building a saleable asset where it's got systems and processes and it works without the business owner. To answer the question, do I think there's going to be stuff coming on the market in 2024? I can't say. Like one of the things is outside of COVID as well was liquidations and businesses being shut down. So, like 3 in every 5 businesses basically shuts down and doesn't exist after X amount of years. Over the obviously couple of years of COVID, which I hate talking about all the time, but it's just the nature of where we're at the moment. So many businesses didn't go into liquidation or voluntary administration, didn't wind up because there was this amnesty where they didn't have to pay their bills. They could, get JobKeeper and Cash Boost and roll forward. And now in the media, there's so much in the media right now about, Porter Davis went under or ProBuild went under and all the construction's collapsing and this manufacturer and, all the news and all the noise is about collapsing businesses. Now, what can come out of the other side of that is fire sales. All of those, now that there's a huge uptick in liquidations and administrations, that is an opportunity where you can find businesses for sale, because the liquidators have to offload whatever assets are available. And a lot of the time, the asset that's left is the business or the operations of the business or some of the core and fundamentals. So that's usually an opportunity. So if the numbers of stuff coming onto the market, is it going to increase? Yes. Is it going to be good, sexy stuff that's, working really well? Maybe not, but it'll be a combination of everything. But I think it's a really good topic to kind of promote and to talk about, is that, building a business, usually where you make the most money when you build a business is not the profit year to year, but it's the multiple on the asset, the multiple on the revenue, or the multiple on profit that you create if you are aiming for an exit event or an opportunity to sell your business. So I think for us, we work with a lot of 25 to 40-year-old business owners. And for them at the moment, they're not even concerned about an exit, because, they got 10, 20, 30 years to work ahead. The interesting ones are the entrepreneurial ones that they want to basically build a business and exit every 5 years. They're doing this, and that's the play for them. That's the fun bit, where they're going, I know the multiples, I know the numbers. If I can get to this much revenue with this much profit, I can sell for 8x. And it's like, they're like, why would I can hold on to it for another 10 years and have the stress of running it and the potential market changes and the trends that go in and out of, popularity. Or during that period of time, I build it, I sell it, and I bank my profit. We go again. So different mindsets, but definitely an interesting one to talk about.
Yeah. Well, currently, do you think with rates rising and it's high and the cost of money is high, do you think it is hard to sell? So those ones that are like potentially going, oh, this is my 5 year, we're good. Although you're finding those entrepreneurs go, you know what, let's hold for one more year till this chaos settles, or are they able to get what they want potentially in this current market?
The high interest rates pose that one more barrier, because somebody who's buying, if they're relying on loaning money, then it's a higher cost for them to make the purchase. I think for the right business at the right multiple, people will make it work, because, businesses have great returns. Then what they spit out on the bottom line, if you're buying something that's worth its weight in gold, it's going to help you pay off that loan that you used to buy it anyway. So it's definitely a barrier and definitely an extra consideration. But I mean, like anything, the way you can structure a good purchasing of a business, depending on the industry, you got vendor agreements, you've got earnouts, you got all different ways to kind of spread it over multiple years as well. So, and that's another thing. A lot of people that think about starting a business, they'll look at it and go, shit, it's so hard starting from scratch, setting up a company, finding employees, finding customers. A lot don't consider, what about buying something that's already set up if there is something on the market, or joining forces with someone already out there if I can bring something else to the table. So there's multiple ways to get into business or get into the market. And it's not always having to do it from scratch and start from zero. But again, it's all mindset and thinking about what are the other ways and what are the opportunities.
Mate, talking about multiple businesses, mate, just you've dabbled in quite a few, mate. You've dabbled in an alcohol company, and mate, and you have a coffee company as well, mate. So tell me about, so you've gone like from service-based industry to goods-based, right? So well, first question, I want you to go into depth into, especially in the coffee company, but let's go, what was your biggest learning going from services to goods?
I like goods in a sense that I've got to be careful here. People are hard. Like, people are hard work. I love my team. I love clients and everything else. But, people dealing with people, you have to be good. You have to be on your game, and to have, multiple people be able to deliver the same way, it's really hard. But if you're making a product, like let's say gin, and your distillery spits out bottles of gin, and shout out to Sarah and Death Gin, and hopefully all is well in Sarah's world at the moment. She's taken over Death Gin, and hopefully, she's going to smash that and do a fantastic job. Gin as a product, which was one that was my first dabbling in, physical goods. Gin comes out of a still. If you smash the recipe and right, it comes out the same every single time. And when that bottle arrives at someone's door and they drink that bottle of gin, fucking happy days. But 3 or 4 different people could probably do you a tax return, a set of financials in slightly different ways, and then explain it to you slightly different. So the challenge in working with people versus delivering a good, or working in a service-based business versus a good, it just had me interested in going, let's dabble in that and let's explore it. The other thing for me was, I wanted to be able to talk to my e-commerce and, manufacturing and, clients that were dealing in goods. I wanted to be able to talk to them from experience. And for me, like a lot of that is just part of the learning and exploring how things operate. And I had I wouldn't say an obsession, but I had a big love for websites and online traffic and doing things like that and marketing. And, a lot of people said to me, like, why did you become an accountant when you could have done like sales and marketing? And I was like, hey, great question. Why did I become an accountant? And that's a story for maybe another day or later on. But yeah, so then the thing with goods, I just love that, if you've got a good like coffee or gin or whatever else you're making, and you can make sure quality control and everything else is fine. It's the same every single time. It goes out the same. It gets shipped to someone's door. It's tangible. Makes people feel good. So yeah, that's kind of what was interesting about that. And the coffee, all the businesses that I've ended up in, I've fallen into in a weird way. Like even accounting. So just to backtrack on that, I started working with Greg, my business partner, when I was 14 and 9 months at McDonald's. He was my crew trainer. And then we worked together the whole way through at Macca's, and he was studying accounting, and I ended up, my careers advisor in year 12 was like, oh, well, you did really good at maths and you're really good at English and you did year 12 accounting and got really good results and you did business management. You should go to university and study business majoring in accounting. And I was like, I didn't care. I was like, whatever, cool, tick. I just wanted to get out of there and probably go do something stupid with my mates. And so then I did that. And at the end of my degree, I was like, fuck, being an accountant, no way. I do not want to do that. And Greg, my now business partner, was like, mate, you can't finish your degree and not have a crack at being an accountant. I'm like, come on, I've got you a job and everything. So I got the job just to kind of, I went and started the job just to kind of, he got me the job. I didn't want to let him down. And then sure enough, just stayed in it and worked with him and ended up falling in love with it, and mostly around the people side and, entrepreneurial and business. And that became exciting, of dealing with people and helping them see things that they couldn't see. And then the gin thing, I had a client come in and he was like, this is Matt. He was like, oh, I'm starting a gin company with 10 mates. It's going to be awesome. I'm like, oh shit. Well, fuck, that would have been fun to join. Let me know next time you're starting another business. He's like, nah, they had 9 mates. Sorry. He goes, 10's a better number anyway. Here's the money to buy in. I'll just tell them all I've got my accountant buying in, because it'd be good to have someone to run the numbers. So I ended up a partner in a gin company with 10 business owners, which of course you can imagine what a nightmare dealing with 10 business partners would have been.
That's a whole nother story.
Wow. Yeah, no shit. And then, I mean, Sarah's the sole survivor, which, that's kind of epic in itself. We could do it like